Hello and welcome to the Cinema Savvy movie podcast. My name is Tayton Yawa. I am joined with Christopher Garner and welcome to the news. Today in the news we have our main headline, which is obviously to do with James Bond. A various amount of details released about the James Bond film and some speculations have as well amongst what they have left out. So, for example, they haven't actually said who's going to be directing the film, what the name of the film is going to be. We have an idea on who the Bond is going to be. We have an idea on who the director is, but we're going to be talking about that anyway. We are also going to be doing our trailer talk, as per usual, our box office breakdown, and our box office predictions for the week to come. So let's start off with Chris. How are you feeling today? You good?
I'm doing very good, thank you. I finished, that's why we're a bit later tonight. I finished work later than expected. We've had some very, very strange conversations before starting this podcast related to Thor Ragnarok, so they will remain behind the scenes and behind the scenes only, but I'm ready to do the news. A lot of good stuff to talk about today.
So, the main headline of this week is the Bond 25 release date and details has been officially announced. It will be November the 8th, 2019. So we still got a bit of time until it actually comes out. UK will get it earlier as tradition. Robert Wade and Neil Purvis are writing. They have written every single Bond film since 1999. And the New York Times are reporting that Daniel Craig is still staying on, but it will be his last, as expected. I want to go ahead and say, I don't want this.
You ship all of this news.
I am very disinterested in news this week, sadly. This is off for a personal reason. First of all, Daniel Craig has actually come out to say that he doesn't want to play the character James Bond anymore. He doesn't even like it anymore. So the fact that he's rumored to be playing James Bond again is like slagging off your own work and then taking another sequel on. Why? Like, it's only for money motivation, and therefore it won't be a good performance. It will be lacking in any emotion. Like, he's not going to take it as, oh, okay, I may as well.
Basically, like all of Daniel Craig's previous outings as the Bond character.
Okay, I've already told you guys probably at home about my Bond likings and dislikings as far as Daniel Craig is concerned. I loved Casino Royale. I think that is one of the best Bond films they have done. They found the perfect balance between the action, the comedy, everything. It was perfect. Quantum of Solace, I thought, wasn't as bad as people say it was. There was a lot of interesting things in there. Forgettable villain, for sure. But at the same time, the plot still intrigued me. And it defied normal Bond expectations by Bond not getting the Bond girl at the end. And I quite like that in a sense. There was a lot in that film which felt like Bond actually had a plot that he could move on to. And then we had Skyfall. What a steaming pile of shit Skyfall was. It was like watching a film that was literally, its only purpose was to document what Bond had done in the last 50 years. And I'm pretty sure that's what their aim was. It's like, oh, do you know what? We'll have everything from the past films in there. Throw in every reference. Don't care about the plot. Don't care about the villain. They got a good actor for the villain, Javier Bardem, and they fucked it. They completely turned it on its ass and made it a very subpar film. And I thought, okay, you've got one film to recover from this, okay? We'll see how it goes. And then we had Spectre. Spectre. This film will be, it's as forgettable as what I would say Quantum of Solace was, but it wasn't even a good film. Whereas Quantum of Solace has its moments. Oh man, Spectre was a mess. It really was. I mean, could you name any of the characters other than Blofeld? Oh, what a shock twist, and Bond? Could you name any of the henchmen? Could you name any of the Bond girls?
I can name the henchman. His name is Batista. I can't tell you his actual name in the film, but he's Batista.
In the film. Like, here's the thing, though. In past Bond villains and henchmen, you have Oddjob, you have Jaws, you have great names that are thrown to it. Like, I can name the Bond villain Le Chiffre from Casino Royale because he's so memorable. And yet, at the same time, forgettable films, useless. They're trying to make it too much like the Bond series, and yet the Bond series is going to tatters as well. They're following suit, and it's terrible. That's my opinion.
For me, I'm going to try and truncate this down as much as I can. I'm a very casual Bond fan. In fact, the first Bond film I ever watched was Casino Royale. Basically just the Daniel Craig ones. I've since gone back and watched all of them up until A View to a Kill. I think A View to a Kill is the next one I need to watch. The last couple of Roger Moore ones, and I haven't watched The Dalton. I haven't watched Pierce Brosnan. God, I forgot his name. So I'm a very casual fan with these. However, as much as Casino Royale is my favorite Bond film. That is my favorite Bond film, hands down. However, Daniel Craig is by far not my favorite Bond. He is terrible. He's bland. He's boring. He has none of the charisma or charm or enigmatic quality that I think Bond should have. He's just one note all the way through consistently.
I think it worked for the first film. That worked. I think his
best performance is in Casino Royale because he was clearly fresh to the role. And although I still don't like him in that film, out of all of his Bond performances, that's his best one.
He isn't even suave anymore, as far as Bond is concerned.
Was he ever suave? Like, maybe I would allow someone to say he was in Casino Royale, but I never thought he was.
No, but I would say even past Bonds, they were all gentlemen. That was the whole point. It's a gentleman spy. I know that he crossed the line on a lot of films. Don't even get me started on that. But at the same time, he was known as the gentleman spy who'd work with a smile, pull the occasional gag, but in the end, he would always be kind of the upstanding gentleman. And yet it's turned into a brutish man who brandishes a grenade launcher and just fires it and doesn't even pull off a pun at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like...
What I think is going to be the case, what I wanted for the next Bond film was a breath of fresh air, the next step in the Bond legacy. And I don't think we're going to get it with this. Like how Spectre ended, it felt like Daniel Craig was done. Hell, it felt like he was done after Quantum of Solace, especially at Skyfall, incredibly so at Spectre. Like he has said that he'd rather slit his own wrists than play Bond again. That is not the guy you get to play Bond again, regardless of how much money you throw at it. I can understand the studio, though. They don't want to go through all the hassle and the casting of getting a new Bond. If they can keep with the same one, then it's easy. They can go straight to pre-production with it. So I understand the reasoning behind it. If it is Daniel Craig's last one, because, I mean, he'll be playing it for, well, it was 10 years last year, wasn't it? I think Casino Royale was 2006, if I remember rightly. So, you know, he's given it over a decade of his life. It's time to move on. And with, like, if we compare it to Justice League, we're going to go into DC news in a minute, but how everyone complained about the really dark and grim tone of Batman v Superman, and now Justice League with the reshoots and everything like that, they're trying to make it more accessible. They're trying to throw more jokes in there. I'm wondering if after this next Bond film, so Bond 26, whether they will go back to a more light-hearted style, if that will be the next progression, if they will go back to the puns, if they will go back to the gadgets and everything like that. Because this is like, I know that we'll talk about Nolan in a minute maybe, but this is like the grounded, realistic Bond era. And I'm wondering if audiences want to go back to that fanciful style that Bond was. I know I certainly do. Like when Daniel Craig deployed that Union Jack parachute in Spectre, it didn't feel right for this universe, but that's the kind of Bond that I want to see eventually. In terms of, I guess we can go on to the director's shortlist now. So 3 directors are currently on the shortlist to direct the next Bond. We've got Denis Villeneuve, we've got David Mackenzie, and we've got Yann Demange. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm going to go through them, so all 3 have had meetings with the producers. Demange is currently the favourite to direct. And George has left me a note saying that Christopher Nolan will inevitably get the reboot at some point and make the greatest Bond film of all time. To the directors that have been cast, I have never heard of Yann Demange. She's directed 2 films before this, which are a film called 71 and White Boy Rick. I haven't seen either of those films, so I can't comment on the directing style.
71 I've heard of. It was up for quite a lot of awards years ago. Who's the main character? Who is the main actor? Jack O'Connell won a few awards for Young Actor of the Year awards for it. It's set in Northern Ireland in one of the wars where it's set in Ireland, and it's basically him jumping from fence to fence trying to survive whilst bullets are flying across the street and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Director or not, it's going to be down to the writing team, I feel, because you could have the most beautifully directed film of all time, and yet if the story is crap... you're screwed.
Which was the Bond film that came out in 99?
99.
That was Brosnan era.
That would have been GoldenEye, I reckon. Wait a sec.
Because he did 4 Bond films, didn't he? Let's remember.
GoldenEye was 95. World is Not Enough. World is Not Enough, 99.
Okay. So I haven't seen the last few Brosnan ones, so I don't know what the writing quality was like. But then again, Casino Royale was fantastic, and I thought it had a great script for the most part. But in terms of the other directors, David Mackenzie directed Hell or High Water, which was one of my favorite films from that year. Incredible film. He's got a great grasp of directing with that film. And apparently his next film is going to be one centered around Robert the Bruce, which is a film that I'm very much interested in seeing. So again, I don't know if this will fit into his schedule. Exactly the same with Denis Villeneuve. He's a very busy guy at the minute, finalizing Blade Runner 2049. And then after that, he's set to do a readaptation or a sequel to Dune. I think it's going to be an all-out reboot close to the book. So he's tied up with that. Whether he's going to want to drop that for a Bond film is a completely different thing. Out of the directors, it seems that the studio's favoring Demange, so he'll probably get it. And I'm fine with that because I'd see a Bond film regardless of who was directing it. I think you're right. It's going to stem from the writing, and it's going to be in keeping with the Daniel Craig universe, whether we like it or not.
With a little bit of research online, instead of going back to the old kind of kooky, it could be anything plot to a Bond film, with an interview with the writing team, they said in the case of Spectre, the theme was global monitoring and utilization of information. So we're trying to find out what is relevant in the coming years to base our scripts off.
They've got to keep it relevant, dude. Like, it's not unheard of.
Oh, yeah, because Goldfinger was completely relevant when it came out. Because, let's go through them. Because, like, there was a massive, I don't know, You Only Live Twice, a film where he goes to Japan and stops a nuclear missile going into space.
Moonraker. Fucking Moonraker was done off the back of Star Wars. Because Star Wars was successful.
I mean,
relevant to pop culture.
License to Kill, he basically loses his license and then he has to kind of fight his way back in. Like, okay, probably the most relevant film to what is modern life recently has been, I wouldn't even say all the way back to like Spectre and Skyfall and Quantum of Solace. I would probably say the most relevant is probably Tomorrow Never Dies, about the news company trying to take over the world and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet still, that was very kooky. Like, that was still fun. Yeah, these films are a mess.
If you're looking for fun, don't look to the Daniel Craig Bond films. Wait until it gets a reboot if they make it lighthearted. Speaking of more lightheartedness and stemming away from the grim dark, which is a word that's now my favorite descriptive of the DC universe, Justice League reshoots. So Joss Whedon is, of course, directing the reshoots for anyone who doesn't know. Warner Brothers has now apparently booked 2 months worth of reshoots. The average blockbuster usually has about 2 weeks. So that pretty much says everything you need right there. The reshoots are apparently costing them $25 million, which is very extensive considering how much the budget of this movie already was before that point. Henry Cavill, who of course plays Superman, and Ezra Miller, who's playing The Flash, are going back and forth between filming Mission Impossible 6 and Fantastic Beasts 2, respectively. Cavill apparently has had to grow a moustache for his role in Mission Impossible 6, which is now having to be digitally removed for the reshoots of Justice League. The focus of the reshoots is apparently dialogue and connective tissue between scenes. That basically says to me that Zack Snyder's film is just like all the other previous Zack Snyder films. It's high on visual quality and cinematic shots, and there isn't any fucking character to back up anything. No substance at all. Because he can't do scenes. There's a great video, I think I've mentioned this before. I think it's called The Problem of Batman v Superman or something like that. It's by the Nerd Writer, and he talks about Zack Snyder's lack of comprehension when it comes to scenes and the all-out complete absence of scenes. His films are made up of moments. Like, you can remember certain shots, you can remember certain moments. There's no scenes though. If there's a particular moment where it tries to establish a scene, if it's at like the Daily Planet or something, it's like a 30-second expository scene, and then we move to the next 30-second expository scene until we get to the next action scene.
And yet,
you make a movie.
Watchmen was
he was lifting straight from the source material. It was all laid out there for him, as was 300. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I liked the Legends of I liked the Legends of Ga'Hoole, the animated owl film that no one talks about now. Dawn of the Dead was, as remakes go, was fine. The misstep for me with him was Sucker Punch, which was his only original idea, which tried to have... It was a film that felt to me like it had all these grandiose ideas, but when you really look on the surface, it was just a shell of a film. And that, to me, is what Man of Steel is. That, to me, is what Batman v Superman is. These are characters that have such a rich history and characterization, and we're getting action moments with them. Great, that's fun, but we're getting no characterization. So this, to me, as soon as I read this, the red flags went up in my mind, thinking that, you know, Whedon's trying to add a bit of character and, you know, momentum to this film. So
it would have worked. It would have worked if he directed it from the start. However, he is basically picking apart someone else's project, and I'm sure that come the film, what's the betting that we pick the Joss Whedon scenes over the Zack Snyder scenes when we actually talk about the analysis and we go,
I think you're honestly going to be able to pick them out.
It's the Joss Whedon scenes. You're going to be,
you'll be able to tell.
It's so obvious.
Honestly,
yeah. Because it'll be scenes with, one, dialogue, and they don't cut. Two, color. That's it. That's all I got.
You know,
it's just like you have it like really, really dark scene in the middle of the night, and then suddenly you have like this bright neon color come through, and you're just like, oh, hey, Joss Whedon's directing now, cool.
See, I tagged this video with Justice League, so I'm sure we've got some DC fans watching this who are probably going to dislike the video, but I don't want to hate this movie. As much as it sounds, I want this film to be great. I want this to put DC back on the map. Wonder Woman was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. If DC continue to make movies like that, then hey, I'm going to be there at the cinema day one. I'm going to be day one anyway because I have to do reviews for them. But just with how troubled this has been, if we're looking at other superhero films that have had a really troubled production, look at Fantastic and look how that turned out. And I don't even think that had reshoots. I think that was just butchered in editing.
We're going to be moving back to Fantastic later, aren't we?
We are, but I mean, what if this film is bad? I mean, they've got all their schedule rolled out, so these films aren't going anywhere. They're going to keep making more of them.
Anyway, let's talk more about the one film that we can agree on, Wonder Woman. Yes. I liked Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman might, being a very heavily toned word, be my favorite film of the year. Definitely isn't the best, but it might be the one which has the biggest rewatchability value. However, there is going to be a Wonder Woman 2. No surprise there. And it's sooner than we thought. It's actually going to be coming out December 13th, 2019. Patty Jenkins not officially confirmed, but we think she might eventually.
Yeah, I think that Patty Jenkins has been confirmed that she's coming back, hasn't she? I thought that was already confirmed. I might be wrong about that.
I can check.
In terms of a release date, though, December 13th, 2019 is a really weird release date for this film. Incredibly weird. I mean, if we look at Wonder Woman, what month did it come out? It was June, I believe, wasn't it? It came out. It was towards the end of June. Great summer release for it. I mean, it was a gamble. People didn't know, even the studio didn't know how well it would do, to the point where...
It worked exactly the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy worked a few years prior, where it was a complete gamble. We'll stick it in the June slot and see what happens, and it makes a load of money.
And it continued to make a lot of money, even though we had brand new releases after it. It had real rewatchability quality to it.
I think it's still showing in the cinema as well, and I'm pretty sure that people would still go and watch it.
Yeah. You know, but December 13th for a film like that is very different. And I mean, Star Wars has now moved.
That's Oscar season.
It is, yeah. I mean, it could be a great film. I don't think Wonder Woman's ever going up for any Oscars. Maybe for visual, maybe for sound.
No.
But I mean, Star Wars is moving to May now, apparently. The Han Solo film, although it might be pushed back due to the problems that film's had, they're still shooting for a May release, and then every other Star Wars film after that is going to be released at May. So that frees up December. So maybe DC, Warner Brothers, they did have the Hobbit films for December originally. They finished, so they're looking for their next big franchise, which is their DC characters. So maybe they're trying to push it for that. I just don't think that's a very good release date for it. Personally, I would stick to summer. But then again, it depends how clustered 2019 is going to be for superhero films. 2019, is that Infinity War? Is that when the Infinity War comes out?
Yeah.
Maybe. So maybe they're trying to stay well away from that so that it doesn't draw away from their box office. But we'll have to wait and see. They might shift the release date, but just to me, at this point, December is a very strange release date for it. And actually, speaking of the Han Solo films and the problems, this isn't so much of a problem, though. John Powell has been confirmed to provide the score for the untitled Han Solo spin-off film. It was announced on Star Wars Show today. He's the third composer to do a Star Wars film after John Williams and Michael Giacchino. I love John Powell's work. I'm more familiar with his music from How to Train Your Dragon, his collaboration with Hans Zimmer for the Kung Fu Panda films. Great composer, and I think he's a very different composer. Michael Giacchino, I thought, was picked because his music, although he definitely has his own style, he's able to adapt the sound and style of other composers, and that's why he's been picked for multiple projects. That's why he was picked for, he's, with John Williams with Jurassic World, for example. This Planet of the Apes and his score for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes especially did very much sound like the old 60s Planet of the Apes film. He's good at adapting different styles. John Powell's very different. He has his own style, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the Star Wars films. I'm completely fine with this choice. I'm sure he'll do a great job.
I didn't actually know who John Powell was.
Shame on you. Shame on you. I'm going to
He's only ever done animated films, right?
No, he's done more. I'm going to bring up his credits right now if you give me your opinion.
If it ends up with him only ever doing animated films, I'm going to laugh so hard.
He has done more than that. He has done more than that. Right, let me have a look. We're going through this
no, seriously, never heard of this guy. I never really paid attention to the How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack. It wasn't really the thing that I was focusing on in the film. Wasn't powerful enough maybe for me when watching. Yeah, that's all I can really say about him. He's only ever done animated scores, hasn't he, Chris?
Most of the scores that I've heard of his are animated.
He has, okay. Yes.
To name a few that I've heard of and I like. Ants, animated film.
He's only ever done animated scores, hasn't he?
Road to El Dorado, Chicken Run, Shrek. He did the score to Rat Race. That was a very fun score. I like that. He's done The Bourne Identity. There you go. That's a live-action film.
Oh, okay, that's one.
The Italian Job remake.
Did he do that on his own? Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah, Supremacy. Robots, that was an animated film. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Ice Age, The Meltdown. X-Men, The Last Stand.
Beautiful. Jumper.
Happy Feet.
So many
Horton,
good
Here's a Who. Kung Fu Panda, Bolt, Ice Age. Okay, he's mostly done animated films. I will concede the fucking point, but nevertheless, he is a fantastic composer. I beg everyone to listen to the Kung Fu Panda soundtrack that he did with Hans Zimmer and the How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack, which is probably one of the nicest melodies
I've ever heard. So you implore them to listen to the animated soundtracks that he's done?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, moving on.
Animated film to make him a lesser composer, Tate. You know, he's still a composer.
I know that, but still. Moving on. I said we'd get back to Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four franchise. Doctor Doom movie in development. Yay! Noah Hawley, the maker of Legion and Fargo. And I'm not going to lie, but that kind of changed my mind on it because Fargo is a brilliant series. I haven't seen Legion. I've heard it's very, very good as well. But it would be his film directional debut. Why is he doing a Doctor Doom movie? That's like the worst choice.
See, I haven't seen Legion and Fargo the TV series, so I don't know what to make of his directing.
Fargo is heavily award winning. Like it won a lot of awards.
However, I do have thoughts on the whole concept of a Doctor Doom movie. Now, my first question is, and I don't think this has been explicitly said, is this going to be the Toby Kebbell Doctor Doom from Fantastic, or will this be technically another reboot? I'm guessing it's going to be another reboot, and if they do that, I'm fine with that, although I would love to see the rights revert back to Marvel, because I'm sure Marvel could do a much better job than Fox has managed with the Fantastic Four films. Nevertheless, Doctor Doom is a very interesting character. He's not a character that I know a whole lot about. I know he has his own province, he has his own kingdom, he's basically the leader of that. And I forgot what the place is called. I think it has a very, very fun name.
Doomsville.
As does his own Doomsville. Oh, that'd be great. But does Doctor Doom need his own movie? Like, I'm thinking this with the Venom movie. Like, Sony have said that Spider-Man probably won't be included in the Tom Hardy Venom movie, to which I reply, well, you've taken out you've taken out all the interesting characterization when you play them off against the hero. This clearly won't have I was going to say Fantastic Four stick then. The Fantastic Four, I will say it properly. I don't think that film's going to have the Fantastic Four in, and that's a problem to me. If they do a great Doctor Doom movie, will this spell the moment for a new Fantastic Four reboot? Probably, and they can integrate Doctor Doom into that. I just don't think that giving him his own movie is a reason enough to go back to this franchise, or even to justify this franchise with a third reboot, or with a second reboot. I don't know. Just make a good Fantastic Four movie and make Doctor Doom good in your Fantastic Four movie. Simple. That's all you need to do. It's not difficult. It really isn't difficult. And I don't know why Fox have had so much trouble with the Fantastic Four, because it's all spelled out there in the comics. They just need to make that a reality, and for some reason, they just can't do that.
I really have not much to say about this at all, other than what I've already said.
I'm going to look at the name for Victor Von Doom's Kingdom, because that's going to really annoy me, and some angry comic book fans are going to...
I'm going to move on to the John Wick cinematic universe, which is now going to take place. We're having the TV show called The Continental. We are now having a cinematic universe. Boo. Lionsgate have actually picked up a script called The Ballerina, which does sound intriguing, but we don't want it as a John Wick spin-off. We just want it as a standalone film. Why does everything have to be connected nowadays? I hate it. This is what film has become. It was trashy, kind of high action films for the last few years, and now it's just a string of them which can be tied together. Terrible. Talking about trashy films of the last few years, Terminator.
Whoa! I have thoughts on the John Wick cinematic universe too.
Sorry,
John Wick 2 being one of my favorite films. First off, Latveria, name of Doctor Doom's Kingdom. Right, next bit. John Wick cinematic universe. This is a bad idea. This is an incredibly bad idea, and this is coming from a person who absolutely adores the John Wick films. John Wick 2 for most of this year was my favorite film of the year. However, Dunkirk and War for the Planet of the Apes have kind of knocked it down to third place now. It's not a film that needs a cinematic universe. Not everything needs a goddamn cinematic universe. I completely agree, and John Wick is one of those things that doesn't. I'd be fine with a trilogy, have a solid John Wick trilogy, and even the director said he wanted to leave it after that. But to me, this isn't the director's choice. This is clearly the studio. They know that people like John Wick, and if they tie it in somehow, people will go and see it. I wasn't even keen on the TV show idea, The Continental, but I could see it working if you're going to like jump to all different countries with different hotels. You can have different characters. Fine, I can see it. But the fact that they've picked up a completely different script called The Ballerina and are now reworking it into a John Wick spin-off, that just screams desperation for me.
Yeah, doesn't that sound a bit like, what's her face, Black Widow's origin story? When you think about it?
Yeah.
A John Wick-styled character who was a ballerina?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's been done before.
And I just think, you know, when they keep doing these films, they're going to explain the universe more and everything like that. And it's just going to take away from the magic of what John Wick was. Most of the beauty of John Wick is not knowing everyone's history, like everything's referred to. And this is going to be a completely different character. One thing I am fine with, though, is if they do create an entirely fictional heroine character, like a badass action feminine, like that's feminine, female, that's great. I'm totally fine with that. My problem is that they've taken that script, they're turning it into a John Wick spin-off, which they don't need to do. It should be its own thing. It's just desperate to me. It's like the whole Expendables thing, which I'm not really sure if that's happening. The Expendables, that's just no. Now we'll move on to Terminator Trilogy now.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I think the best way of describing this bit of news is what was put on the Reddit r/movies page when I read this headline. It wasn't the headline which we are going to read out first, which is James Cameron wants a Terminator trilogy. The headline was James Cameron threatens world with a new Terminator trilogy, as if it was like a punishment.
Which is sad because, I mean, he made the best two. He started it all. That's really sad, but I agree.
I am in discussions with David Ellison, who is currently the rights holder globally for the Terminator franchise, and the rights in the US market revert to me under US copyright law. Blah 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 blah. Right now, we are leaning towards doing a free film arc and reinventing it.
Can I chime in on this one?
Go for it.
I adore the Terminator films, being 1 and 2. I still like 3. 3 was the second Terminator film I saw. I saw that before 1. And yes, it has a lot of problems, but as an entertaining action movie, it's fine. The ending is really good to that film. I didn't even mind Salvation. I kind of wish that Salvation had have got a full trilogy. Wasn't great. It was a fine action movie. Wanted to see that go places. This will be their third attempt now to make a new trilogy. Like, I know that people don't even count Terminator 3 as part of the main trilogy. They just see 1 and 2 as being its own thing, which I can completely understand. Salvation failed to start a trilogy. Genesis, they were all, you know, gun-ho. They were going to film Genesis 2 and 3 back-to-back because they wanted to get in before the rights reverted back to James Cameron, and clearly either the film didn't do too well, although I thought it did well overseas to push it up, but I think just critically it wasn't going places. They haven't done a Genesis 2 and 3, which is fine with me. And now we might be getting another one. I don't think this is going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen because James Cameron's tied up with his Avatars 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many is.
What I see happening right here is he does 1 year an Avatar film, 1 year a Terminator film, and then keeps flipping backwards and forwards, and people will get tired of that immediately. In fact, people are probably tired of it already. No one wants an Avatar 2. No one asked for an Avatar 2. Why does every film nowadays have to have a sequel? Almost all of them, almost all of them are not wanted. Why? Why do we get them?
We're living in the era where everything...
There are a few inevitable exceptions, like some which are inevitable exceptions, some which are going to be surprise exceptions. So, inevitable exception, Wonder Woman 2. We're still happy for that. There was obviously going to be a Wonder Woman 2 after seeing the first film. Blade Runner 2049, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's unnecessary, but I'm excited by it all the same.
Yeah.
There you go.
For me, with James Cameron, if he does go back to Terminator, we're just living in the era now where everything has to be rehashed. Everything has to be soft rebooted. Everything has to be gender flipped. Everything. Basically, old franchises coming back when I implore studios to be original and come up with new stuff. This year's been great. Even though we have had some sequels like Wolf of the Planet of the Apes, but also great for original films like Dunkirk, Baby Driver. One of my favorite films from this year, completely original movie. I want stuff like that. I really want stuff like that. And I'm tired of them going back to old stuff. Terminator, there was talks that James Cameron was going to come back and do like a sequel to Terminator 2 and finish that, like how Neil Blomkamp wanted to come back and essentially redo Alien 3 and do it as a proper sequel to Aliens. And that fell through. That's what I heard the original intention of James Cameron was. And you know what? I'd kind of resent that idea, but it'd be the original director coming back, finishing his trilogy as he should have done. I mean, a sequel to Terminator 2 should have happened just a couple of years after T2. I just think Terminator's at a point now where I don't know how you can reinvent it. How can you reinvent the wheel with Terminator? Terminator comes back from the future, either has to try and kill Sarah Connor, John Connor, or protect Sarah Connor and John Connor. That's the formula. If you stray too far away from that, people are going to complain. If you go to different, people will say it's not a Terminator film.
Here's the thing, though. All of the big directors are doing it nowadays. I know that our next piece of news is on Alien Covenant, and that's what we could talk about Ridley Scott as a director going back and trying to kind of reinvent his work, but it not working out. And all of these big directors are going back, and they're failing, even though they are still credible... I can't even speak anymore. Credible.
No, I'm so tired.
Directors. Like, it just isn't working because they probably don't understand the market anymore. If they made a brand new original idea, it would do so much better than rehashing what they had before. They don't understand that people are paying for the tickets out of nostalgia purposes. They will come out the cinema and they will say that they are tired of it. If you keep on doing that, it'll get to the point where, yeah, sure, you're making money, But you'll end up like Michael Bay. He makes money, and everyone thinks his films are shit. Do you really want that, or do you want to do it for love of film?
Not everyone thinks his film's shit.
There will be one person. I'll say one person in the country who probably likes that film, and it's George. So,
it breaks my heart to see it. Max Landis did a great video, and he's a writer for anyone who doesn't know, screenwriter, and he's grew up in the industry before, and he did a video with Red Letter Media, I believe, saying how tough it is now to get original ideas out there, because if he said, I've got this great idea for a new version of Star Wars, like an original film inspired by Star Wars, the studio would go, why take a chance on a film that could be the new Star Wars and have that impact now when we could just make another Star Wars movie and apply that to any franchise out there? And it really breaks my heart. But you talked about Alien Covenant and Ridley Scott. Going back to that, our next bit of news is Fox is reassessing the Covenant sequels. Alien Covenant made $170 million less than Prometheus, barely scraped profit on release. And as George has put, it could be a game over, man. Game over, which I'm absolutely fine with. I think both of us are okay with this fact. But I can understand how frustrating that would be for die-hard Alien fans. However, if you are a die-hard Alien fan, chances are you probably didn't like Alien Covenant. You might not have even liked Prometheus, so you might have been very ambivalent on Prometheus. But although it's setting up this story, if it doesn't get a payoff now at this point, then what was the point? What was the point in the two movies? As with two movies in, it's almost the lesser of two evils. Just to do one more movie, get it to the
only
point.
way. Okay, here's the thing: the only way I see this movie or the next movie going, to link it back to the original Alien, is a ship comes across the ship which David is on and attempts to dock, or says we need to dock, we're running out of fuel or something like that. And he decides to let loose the aliens so he can get more pods on board. It goes completely wrong, and the aliens kill David immediately. And then they start picking their way through the crew. They then manage to crash down on one of the planets with the space jockeys on, or something like that, or they crash into a space jockey ship, and that's what they find in the first Alien film.
I thought they killed all the space jockeys, though, according to Alien Covenant.
Here's the thing, though. They've really written themselves into a corner here, because there is a space jockey at the start of Alien 1. And the only way they're going to get to Alien 1 now is if they go back to that. But they can't, because they've completely killed off that storyline.
No, Tate, you don't understand. They haven't written themselves into a corner, because Ridley Scott's got the master plan of like 3 or 4 movies to get to the point of Alien. He's got it all worked out.
The only good thing about that last Alien film was David.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the character of David. It was the acting done by Michael Fassbender. I've given up on that franchise completely. I'm glad if they don't make a single other film.
Our one shred of hope would have been Neil Blomkamp, and that takes us to our next bit of news. Yes, God, these segues are amazing today.
It's almost as if we wrote it that way.
I know. Neil Blomkamp's directing a sci-fi thriller called The Gone World. It was announced on Twitter. It's a new book that is due for release in February 2018, and he is directing it. And George in the notes has put confined plot of book online if you want. I don't know if we need to. Do we? Maybe. I don't know.
Sci-fi film. It's a new sci-fi film called The Gone World. If you want to check it out, go search it up. If not, that's not the kind of service we provide you with a news.
Yes. But
anyway,
Blomkamp's one of those directors where, I mean, District 9 was great. Elysium, I remember not hating, but it just wasn't a great movie. It didn't leave any impact on me after I watched it.
I hated Chappie.
I still haven't seen Chappie, but I did see all the negative reviews, and to be honest, that's what kept me away at the time. Now I just go and see a bad movie because unfortunately I have to do a review for the channel.
Yes.
Which I will have to for the Emoji Movie, which people are currently commenting about. I'm fine with going to see another Neil Blomkamp.
When is Emoji Movie out? Is in the UK.
A couple of weeks, I think.
I can't wait.
Good. That's confirmed then. You're on the review with me. You're going to see it.
Oh, there is no way I'm missing this. I need to fill up the slots of my worst films of the year list.
I don't even know what our next review will be. We need to discuss what we're going to do Sunday. Like Valerian's out
We
at
need
some
to have a
point.
look at. Yeah, I know. Oh,
Movie, Atomic Blonde. It's all over the place at the minute.
but anyway, I hear that Oates Volume 1's meant to be quite good.
Oates Volume 1.
Yeah, Oates Volume 1. That's Boom Camp, isn't it?
Are these like his short films that he's doing?
It's called Oates, isn't it?
Yeah, I forgot the name of it. I think so. That looked great. I watched the trailer for it, but I didn't.
Yeah, Oates Volume 1.
I didn't see the movies from it.
It's like Black Mirror, but weird.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see if we can check that out and get a review for those.
My God,
I don't know
online.
when it's gonna be relative.
He released them to YouTube.
Oh shit! Okay, we could do that Sunday. We could watch some of those and do reviews on those. Next bit of news. We need to get back. We need to get back to the news. We need to stay on target. Okay, Mads Mikkelsen is strongly rumored to be playing the villain in Chaos Walking. Cast already has been Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley in the lead roles. Doug Liman wants Mikkelsen. He'd be playing a ruthless mayor on a mission. It's a famous book, apparently, and it's due out in March 2019. I have never heard of Chaos Walking before. This is the first I've heard of this news. Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. I'm not keen on that casting because I don't particularly like either of them. I thought Tom Holland was fine as Spider-Man in Spider-Man Homecoming and Civil War. Daisy Ridley, I've got on record, and angry feminists can hate on me all they want. I can't stand the woman. I think she was wooden as hell in Force Awakens. She looks like she's going to be
She was okay.
Last Jedi.
She was fine. You didn't like the character.
Great. That's encouraging.
You thought she was a Daisy Sue. She was perfectly fine to fit the role.
No, her acting. I thought was straight up bad.
Her acting was perfectly fine.
Dude, watch that movie again. Watch Force Awakens again.
Dude,
I bypassed the compressor.
I've seen the movie again. If you compare it up against
some
other films, not even in the Star Wars franchise,
not comparing,
then it is basically it's like watching Shakespeare, mate.
Not comparing. Their acting's fucking terrible in whatever.
Let it go, Chris. Let it go, Chris. Let it go.
Mads Mikkelsen's a great actor.
Yes.
And he's played villains before. He's played good guys before. He's great in both of them. I don't have a problem with this. He'll probably be the walk-away standout in that. Although he did play a villain in Doctor Strange, and unfortunately that was more the writing that let him down in that, I think. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say on this because I've never heard of it.
Moving on to what I would consider is the not news part, and then we go back to news again. Anne Hathaway is now the top choice to play Barbie in the movie Barbie. Amy Schumer left due to scheduling issues. Yes, scheduling issues. But anyway, we could talk about like what we think about this, but to be honest, Anne Hathaway, I do not see that even slightly as Barbie. What even is that? I feel like it would probably be the worst decision she would ever take in her entire life. Like a seasoned actress going from Les Mis and like brilliant films in the past to Barbie. And I mean, we've already had movies about, shall we say, kids' toys, which have been terrible. For example, the Bratz movie is in the IMDb bottom 100 of all time. Just to name one of them. This is bad. Why? I know why they're making this movie, because it's in right now to bring back things from like the nostalgia things. But as far as casting is concerned, I wouldn't even know who to pick.
It's like what other properties from the 80s and 90s can we bring back that people recognize? So I mean, if this does well, expect an Action Man movie out, probably with Dwayne The Rock Johnson playing Action Man.
Pick some like tarted up ex-Disney reject and put them in the role, because that's the only person who'd actually probably take it.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, Anne Hathaway's in her mid-30s, by no means old at all. When you're in your 30s, you're not old. When you're in your 40s, you're not old, even 50s. I don't think Anne Hathaway's right for this role. Maybe they've looked at her previous catalogue of films and seen that she's played quirky characters before. I mean, she was in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland as the White Queen, and she was very much like this Lady Gaga, larger-than-life personality.
It would absolutely kill me if they put in someone like, what's her name? Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah.
That would kill me.
But I think fit the role a lot more than Anne Hathaway would. And I can't believe I'm talking about casting a Barbie movie here. Like, we're that desperate, Hollywood, really? Really? We're doing a Barbie movie.
Let's put in Caitlyn Jenner.
But here's the thing. I think we're thinking about this all wrong. Like, surely this movie is going to be animated. Like Toy Story Barbie, right?
Oh, no. I think this is going to be live action.
You think...
Because they've been making Barbie movies for years, mate. Just like they've making... Yeah, they've been making Barbie movies for years. Let's have a look. Barbie movie. Yeah, they've been making Barbie movies for years, dude.
Yeah, so I know. They're the 2D. They're the 3D animated ones, which I would expect this to be, but just like on a bigger budget. I might be wrong about that. So let me reassess what I've said. If Anne Hathaway is merely just providing the voice for the character for an animated film, I'm fine with that. She's got a great voice. I can hear that.
No,
voice.
Dude, I'm reading the IMDb online. It's live action.
In that case, I take back everything I just said. This is an absolutely ungodly choice. She shouldn't be playing the character. Maybe back in the day when she was like doing the whole Princess Diaries thing, I could see it maybe. At this point in her career,
she's Lohan in. She's pushed Lohan in.
Oh God, hell no! Like you just have a coke. I'm sure she's made a full recovery now, but coked out Barbie is not something I particularly want to see. I don't think that's a good message to pass to the kids.
Barbie's just like, let's do lines of coke, people. Ken, played by Will Ferrell.
Oh.
But not just Will Ferrell, old school Will Ferrell.
Am I the only one who wants Michael? Am I the only one who wants Michael Keaton to come back as Ken after doing a fantastic performance in Toy Story 3? And Hathaway's much.
We already discussed this. Willem Dafoe as Ken.
Back to formula. Going back to Anne Hathaway, I can't believe I'm talking this much about a Barbie movie. She's a seasoned actress now. I don't think this role would be good for her. This film is probably going to bomb, especially as it's live action. This is going to be like the live action Mario Brothers movie that came out. This is like just going to be bad.
I've never seen live action Bratz, but it is in the IMDb bottom 100 and is quoted to be one of the biggest train wrecks of all time. So that's what live action Dolls movie do to you. But yes. This next bit of news interests me heavily because I absolutely love Unstoppable. Unbreakable. This is Sarah Paulson being added to the cast of the film Glass, the Unbreakable Split sequel. If you didn't know, the film out this year, which I still haven't seen yet, called Split, M. Night Shyamalan, a return to form, even though I thought The Visit was a return to form. Maybe this is a true return to form then. But it's a secret prequel to the film Unbreakable. And now we're going to get a film called Glass, which is going to be either I think it's a sequel. Is it a prequel? I can't remember. But anyway, we're getting a connection film, and I'm excited.
See, here's the thing. Like, maybe that's M. Night Shyamalan's biggest twist ever, that Split was tied into the Unbreakable universe. I saw the trailer for Split. I was intrigued by it. And I saw M. Night Shyamalan tied to it. And that's a name that's slowly building up a little bit more credibility now. Like, what was The Visit? The Visit. Yeah.
The Visit. Yeah.
I enjoyed The Visit. Split was meant to be very good. I saw some people really didn't like it, though, or didn't like the ending, and then I saw some people absolutely love it. And across the board, everyone praised McAvoy's performance. That's one of the reasons I really wanted to watch it. It's a movie I still need to watch. However, when the news came out that either the sequel or it was tied into Unbreakable, I haven't actually seen Unbreakable. I believe Unbreakable was his second movie following The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
And I've heard great things about Unbreakable. I think I know the ending to Unbreakable, though I think it's been spoilt for me, unfortunately. But when I heard it was tied in, I thought, well, now I don't want to watch Split until I've watched Unbreakable. So I'm going to have a day where I watch these two back-to-back or watch them at some point to prepare for this movie. I'm fine with it.
Will that be too much Shyamalan?
I don't. Maybe this movie, like, Glass will be like The Dark Tower, because the premise of Stephen King's The Dark Tower is that it links all of his novels together in one big mad universe. Maybe he's trying to do that. Maybe this ties into Last Airbender as well. Maybe we don't know that yet. Maybe it ties into After Earth and The Town. Wait, no, it wasn't The Town. It was The Village. The Town is a great film directed by Ben Affleck. I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
I don't mind Village. as much. I don't mind it as much. It's a little bit dull, but there is a sense of tension. If you don't know what the twist is beforehand, that first reveal of the twist is refreshing. I quite liked it. But I think people were expecting something bigger, and therefore it was never given the positive or a positive review. Same with, was it Lady in the Water, his other film?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad film, just a very middle road film. But people then immediately kind of take it as bad because he's already done good work in the past. And that's kind of the burden that good directors have to kind of follow through with. But yeah, at the same time, I am kind of excited for that. I guess we are now done with the news part of the news, and now we're moving on to...
There's one other slight bit of news we could talk about, which went up today. There's also been a leaked picture of Snoke from Star Wars. We're not going to talk about, though, because it is still leaked. When it's officially confirmed, which it will probably be tomorrow, we'll talk about that on next week's show. But the one bit of news is involving IMAX, just as a medium in general. So apparently in the US, based on box office figures for Dunkirk and the declining turnout for 3D IMAX experiences, they're going to try and push that out slowly. Not completely get rid of it, but limit it a lot more, because they've seen that audiences don't really care for 3D anymore, and they prefer a 2D IMAX experience. I know some people, for example, that have now gone to an IMAX because Dunkirk was only in 2D and they didn't have that opportunity before when it was just in 3D. I'm fine with this because I always tend to go 2D when I can. It's only if a film comes out, like Valerian, for example. I've seen a trailer for that in 3D. That is basically the way that film's meant to be watched. So when I do go and see that film, I will go and see it in 3D. However, 99.9 times when I go to the cinema, I will watch it in 2D if it's on offer at 2D. And I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, 3D had a big thing in the 80s, didn't it, with like horror films for a while, and then it was a gimmick, and then it went out of fashion, then it came back in with Avatar around 2009. To be honest, I'm surprised it's lasted as long as it has. But in the article that I read, they said that when you go and buy a TV, some people might do this, but not majority. When you look at the specifications for a new TV, people really don't care if it's 3D or not now. They care about picture quality. They care about whether it's 4K. And I think that's going to be the attitude of a lot of people now. Apparently 3D is still doing incredibly well overseas, here in the UK and other European countries. So 3D isn't going anywhere. It's a technology that's still going to be stuck around, especially with filmmakers like James Cameron that want to push the boundaries of it with the Avatar sequels. It's not going anywhere.
No, you got that wrong. James Cameron wants to push the boundaries of cinema.
With 3D and higher frame rate and things like that. That was just a little bit of news.
For an Avatar 4D film where it sprays water at you and shit like that.
Oh, I'm totally well. No, that means I need to go and see an Avatar film at the cinema. Which you can
smell the cinema or something like that. Like you get the musky stink of like an Avatar sex scene or something like that.
You just smell smoke in the cinema, which is all the charred bodies of the Na'vi being roasted alive when their forest is burnt to the ground by the evil captain. That'll do it for
let's move on.
Let's go on to trailer talk. So Tate, I'm pretty much going to pass over to you entirely for these trailers. Kicking off with Logan Lucky trailer 3.
Yes, very quickly. We're not going to be talking about any of the Comic-Con trailers, any of the trailers that me and Chris have reacted to. This is purely going to be trailers which had nothing to do with Comic-Con this week and just decided to hitch on the kind of ride and release themselves. So, first of all, we have Logan Lucky trailer 3. If you've seen the previous 2 Logan Lucky trailers, combine them both together and you get this trailer. There is nothing really new about this trailer. I still like the premise of the film. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a Coen Brothers film, even though I know it isn't, which is intriguing because I love the Coen Brothers. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see Daniel Craig as this hillbillied, blonded criminal. Brilliant. Moving on. Brad's status. Now, this might be my favorite trailer out of the 3 of these for trailer talk this week. It's Ben Stiller, and it's kind of a film about him and his son and looking at where he is in his life and questioning the decisions he's made. as he's an unemployed person. All of his friends around him are becoming successful in their very own ways, and his son is about to go off to university and is looking for success. And it's him looking back at his life, looking back at his status at that moment in time, looking at his friends' statuses, and comparing it to his son's achievements that he's made, and making sure that his son gets the best chance in life, because he knows that maybe somewhere along the line, even though he got good grades, he maybe made some bad decisions which left him unemployed, whereas his friends made different decisions and have gone on to go and do things. So it looks like quite a touching father kind of son film. And Ben Stiller's kind of moved away from comedy. I know he did Zoolander 2, but I'm pretty sure that was his last and will be his last for a reasonably long time. Secret Life of Walter Mitty, kind of a more serious film, quite like that. And I think this is going for that kind of vibe. It's going to be a tearjerker, and I'm looking forward to seeing that film. Chris, highly recommend you see that trailer if you're going to see any of these free trailers this week. Finally, the final trailer is Triple Threat. The third trailer is Triple Threat. This is the new Iko Uwais film, who you might recognize the name from the dude from The Raid. It's basically the dude from The Raid and two other dudes doing the stuff in The Raid, just not as the people in The Raid.
They found their niche, essentially, after The Raid.
Kung Fu, action, karate, cool stunts. The entire trailer was literally just like 13 fight scenes stitched together. And yes, I counted. So we're going to get at least 13 fight scenes in the film. Who knows? There might be more. So maybe go and check that out. I'm just waiting on The Raid 3 because I like that.
Me too.
I love The Raid 3.
Also, there was another trailer that went up today, which was the latest trailer for It, the upcoming Stephen King remake, reboot, readaptation, I should say. Yes. We won't be commenting on that right now because, for one, Tate, you're not a horror guy, but two, I will be doing a reaction video for that at the weekend. I'm at Comic-Con this weekend on Saturday, so I won't have a chance to get it up tomorrow because I'm traveling down to London. Saturday, I'm there, so look out for the It trailer reaction on Sunday, and I will get that to you guys. We move on to our next section, box office breakdown. Now, these figures are based on the US. Some of these films aren't even released in the UK yet, but nevertheless, we're going to run through them now. So, Dunkirk enters at number 1, making $50 million US. Slightly higher than Interstellar, and as originally predicted. 56 million opening internationally, 11 million in the UK opening, which is big. It sits on 113 million worldwide so far. It will probably last across the summer, like Interstellar did across its release. Number 2, we have Girls Trip. R-rated black comedy opens at 2 with 30 million and good reviews. Already made its money back. 2 original films enter at number 1, at number 1 and 2, which is incredibly rare. Yes, I am reading off a plan, so apologies if it sounds a little stilted. Iron Boy, which we talked about earlier, is opened at number 3 with 22.
What even is Iron Boy? Like, what is it?
Maybe it's a prequel to Iron Man. I don't know. The thumbnail looked like it was some kind of horror film. It looked very strange and a little creepy. I'm not really sure.
One sec. How are you spelling
but
it?
Yeah, I just Iron Boy, just one word.
Okay.
Iron Boy is at number 3 with 22.15 million. It overtakes War for the Planet of the Apes and currently sits. Wait, is that Apes at 575 million worldwide? I expect it is.
I don't think Iron Boy is an actual film. I think this is George trolling us.
Oh, you know what?
Do you know what? I think that's Spider-Man.
He is going to watch. No. This is Spider-Man Homecoming. I guarantee.
This is Spider-Man Homecoming.
This is Spider-Man Homecoming, which is hilarious. George is going to watch this back and just be pissing himself laughing that we thought that Iron Boy was a real film.
God damn it, George.
Wow, George, you get us every week. I love it. Spider-Man Homecoming. You usually call him Iron Spider Boy. That's why I didn't pick up on it. It's at number 3. It overtakes Apes with 575 million worldwide. That makes sense now. Okay, we're moving swiftly on. War for the Planet of the Apes drops to number 4 with 20.84 million. It's 179 million worldwide. It could hold out for 300 million. It will likely be the lowest grossing of the trilogy,
we're not
which is a shame. Valerian, yes, has bombed
We're
and
not going to
entered
get
at number
Valerian sequel.
5. And I believe that was on its opening weekend as well, with 17 million. It still hasn't been released here in the UK, but believe me, if that's the figure that it's been in the US so far, it doesn't bode well for it at all. We will still go and see it. We will still have a review on it because it is a film that I would like to check out regardless. But yeah, that's kind of hilarious. That's like the new John Carter, I think. That concludes the box office breakdown. Once again, great job, George, on that plan. I like it. Weekend preview. So passing over to you, Tate, for the weekend preview.
Okay, so coming in at number 1 on our weekend preview chart, we think the Emoji Movie is going to take 30 million opening domestic. We think that Dunkirk is actually going to maintain at 28 million. How much did it get this weekend, Chris? It was on
Dunkirk. It's 50 million.
It was 50 million opening.
Yeah.
So we think it's going to shrink almost to a half it was, but still, that's pretty good still. And we think Atomic Blonde is going to open with a 21 mil as well. We feel like everything else is going to slowly drop down, but we think Dunkirk might stay up there for a bit longer. So that really is the weekend preview. This isn't none of these films coming out in the UK, sadly. No, we actually have nothing coming out this week, so I guess we're going to... Chris, I just checked online. Oats Volume 1s, and there's 2 episodes on there. They're 25 minutes long each.
Yeah.
So we can review
we will do the review for that, yeah.
Or you could just, watch, like, Iron Fist.
I'm not watching Iron Fist on one day on Sunday. It ain't happening, dude. I'm sorry. We'll do those 2 Blomkamp reviews there, the reviews we'll do for that. As well as my reaction videos as well. I still need to edit Stranger Things. I still need to edit Defenders. They will be out this weekend too, so look out for those. That'll do it for our news show. So thank you to everyone that's been commenting throughout the video. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for watching the video. Get commenting as well. Let us know what you think of these news stories. What are you looking forward to? Predictions for box office, anything related to that stuff, please do get commenting. As I said, in terms of what's coming up on the channel, we'll have reviews out this weekend, and then we'll be back to regular movie reviews every week. We have loads of new shows going on as well, so look out for those. Please hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.